Welcome back to the channel. What if I told you a single pipeline could shake the foundations of the global energy market and trigger a shift in world power? Following the recent Shanghai Cooperation Summit, a major development has emerged. Russia and China have officially moved forward with the Power of Siberia 2 pipeline, and it is much more than just another energy project. This massive infrastructure deal is sending shockwaves across global markets and diplomacy. It is a clear signal that the world is changing. Today we break down what it means, what the West missed, and why this could be the beginning of a new energy world order. Power of Siberia 2 is a colossal pipeline project that will deliver 50 billion cubic meters of natural gas every year from Russia's Arctic Yamal fields directly to northern China. The route will pass through Mongolia, a move that is both financially smart and geopolitically strategic. By involving Mongolia, Russia and China expand their influence in Central Asia while creating new financial and diplomatic leverage in the region. This pipeline is expected to become one of the most capital-intensive energy undertakings of our time. And here is the jaw-dropping part. It is backed by a staggering $400 billion 30-year deal between Gazprom, Russia's state-owned gas giant, and the China National Petroleum Corporation. That is one of the largest bilateral energy deals in modern history. On the surface, this is a story about gas. But at its core, it is about power, about who writes the rules in the next chapter of global order. Power of Siberia 2 is more than a pipeline. It is a geopolitical tool, a challenge to decades of Western dominance in energy and economics. Russia's pivot away from the West is no longer just a reaction to sanctions. It is a fully realized strategy, and China is stepping up as its most critical partner. This project is now fully greenlit at the highest political levels. Leaders in Moscow, Beijing, and Ulaanbaatar have all signed a legally binding memorandum. The message is loud and clear. The East is uniting. Let's take a quick step back. Power of Siberia 1, the original pipeline, stretches over 3,000 kilometers. It connects eastern Siberia to China and has nearly reached full capacity. It currently delivers 38 billion cubic meters of gas annually. That pipeline alone was backed by the same $400 billion 30-year deal. And now, Gazprom has announced plans to expand its capacity to 44 billion cubic meters per year. But Power of Siberia 2 is the real game changer. It is not just an expansion, it is a strategic bypass of Europe. It firmly locks China and Russia into an energy alliance that is resistant to Western pressure. For China, the world's largest energy consumer and manufacturing powerhouse, this pipeline is not just about more gas. It is about security, leverage, and independence. With this deal, China reduces its dependency on liquefied natural gas imports from the United States. It gains long-term supply stability at pipeline prices, which are often cheaper and less exposed to global market volatility. Beijing has also continued purchasing LNG from Russia's Arctic projects, despite Western sanctions. That alone is a powerful political statement. Sanctions or not, China is pursuing its own path. In 2023, trade between Russia and China surged to $240 billion, a record high. China is now Russia's largest trading partner, top buyer of crude oil and pipeline gas, second largest buyer of coal, and third largest buyer of liquefied gas. These ties are no longer just strong, they are institutionalized. During President Putin's most recent visit to Beijing, the two countries signed 22 new bilateral agreements. One of the most important was a new strategic energy pact between Gazprom and the China National Petroleum Corporation. Details of the agreement were not fully disclosed, but experts say the symbolism speaks for itself. This is not just a deal between companies, it is a personal and ideological alignment between two leaders. Both Putin and Xi Jinping have called for a new multipolar world, one that is no longer dictated by Washington or Brussels. They reject what they call Cold War mentalities and interference in their domestic affairs. This is why the pipeline is more than steel and gas. It is a political statement. When the West imposed sanctions on Russia, the goal was to isolate it from the global economy. But the result was the opposite. Russia reoriented itself toward the East. It found a partner in China who was willing to cooperate, grow, and align. According to the Financial Times and Bloomberg, this realignment has created a new energy ecosystem, one that is increasingly immune to Western sanctions. And while Washington focused on exporting liquefied gas to Europe and Asia, China quietly secured long-term supply through pipelines. Now, The United States and its allies are watching as two of the world's largest powers build a new energy corridor that bypasses them entirely. Power of Siberia 2 is scheduled to be completed by 2029. Once operational, it will cement Russia's pivot to Asia and give China even greater control over its energy future. At the same time, China is also investing heavily in renewable energy, nuclear power, and diversified gas sources. This is not about dependence, it is about having options. And options are power. The deal also signals a long-term strategy to build an economic system parallel to the one led by the West. One based on regional infrastructure, long-term contracts, and local currencies. It is already happening. Trade settlements between Russia and China are increasingly done in yuan and rubles, bypassing the US dollar. So what does Power of Siberia 2 really mean? It means the world is no longer unipolar. It means China and Russia are no longer playing defense. They are building a new framework for global energy and influence. And the West, it now has to face a hard truth. That sanctions, containment, and isolation are not enough to stop a determined alliance with shared goals. The Power of Siberia 2 is not just a pipeline, it is a power shift. Let us know in the comments. Do you think this new axis will reshape global leadership, or will the West find a way to regain control? Thank you for watching. If you found this video insightful, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And stay tuned, because the energy war has just begun.